Looking at the latest satellite picture this morning, we are tracking our winter storm that is just now getting its act together. It's already left a couple of inches so far into the Texas panhandle, but as that powerful low level jet really started to amplify overnight, it left a swath of severe storms across central Texas with some big hailers. Now that instability has shifted off to the east, where they are under the gun with more severe storms across the deep south into the southeast, where they are expecting more large hail and unfortunately some tornadoes. But here's the cold side, as that heavier snows will continue to start to come together and leave a healthy swath of snow all the way up into the northeast as you head through that Sunday to Tuesday time frame. So I appreciate all my subscribers out there. If you are new here, I do daily breakdowns on this channel. So if you like detailed weather reports, hit the subscribe button and follow along so I can keep you well ahead of the storm. So here's the breakdown. So we've got the upgraded winter storm warnings up here into the Texas panhandle. They are expecting anywhere from 4 to 5 to 6. Some places could pick up a foot of snow up there across into the Texas panhandle and far western portions of Texas, but newly updated winter weather advisories all the way through the Oklahoma City region, through Tulsa, and that actually extends all the way up into portions of Missouri. But you can see the activity that fell into the overnight time frame. That is our big hailers that fell south of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, places like Corsicana and Athens. Into Tyler's this morning actually saw some 2-inch hail, and I was reading one report in Longview had up to tennis ball size hail, folks. Now they've got the severe thunderstorm watch in place for those areas into East Texas. In fact, they just had a tornado warning in and around close to the Huntsville region, but that's the instability that will be shifting off into East Texas and into the deep south and into the southeast later on this afternoon. And then further north, you do see winter storm watches in place already for those areas into Pennsylvania, into New York, back into Boston. They could pick up some pretty healthy snowfall totals, but that will impact those areas heading into Monday night, into that Tuesday time frame. But for today, first and foremost, here is the concern on the warmer side of the storm. The southeast quadrant of the storm is unfortunately those big time hailers that could come to fruition into East Texas, back into the Shreveport region, all the way down to Lake Charles, getting into the Jackson region, where they saw those 2-inch hailstones in Tyler. You could see some isolated spots in this hatched risk area today of some of those big time hail producers. So just be on high alert. And where they did in fact already have a tornado warning in and around the Huntsville region, yes, you are in a favorable area within this swath and with this green and brown shaded swath of seeing an isolated tornado or two as we get into the deeper into the afternoon, into the evening hours, as that low level jet will continue to shift off to the east with the instability in its wake. But here's the helicity track, and this kind of gives you an idea of where some of the updrafts are, right? It's right there in eastern Texas. This is why the Storm Prediction Center has highlighted this area as being the favored probability area of seeing not only some big time hail producers, but seeing an isolated tornado or two as that low level jet will continue to move from west to east. So those areas into East Texas, into Louisiana, back into Mississippi, especially central Mississippi, into Alabama, as well as into the Georgia region, just be in high alert, because you are definitely in a favored area where you could get some larger hail that could actually do some damage to your cars and a tornado or two. So definitely be on high alert as this instability will start to shift in your area as we get into the afternoon time frame. But here's the radar going into about 4 o'clock. Shows you that heavy swath of snow. We've got a low pressure here. Some healthy totals across the Texas panhandle. You can see the darker shaded colors in blue. That gives you an idea of how intense the heavier snowfall is. We've got a lot of high water content, with this system, and it's one of those systems, it's kind of barely right at freezing, and in some areas it's actually even above freezing. That's what gives it such high water content to it. So it's going to be those big, huge, fluffy flakes that fall out of the sky that could add it to some healthy totals, especially around where that low pressure center is. But as we get into the afternoon hours, we've got concerns across the southeast where we get these isolated bubblers. That's where those areas that could, in fact, pick up some of those large hail events and as well as an isolated tornado or two within this corridor. But going into the overnight time frame, that will continue to shift, right? So it transfers from rain to all snow within the Oklahoma City region, into the Tulsa region, into the southeastern portions of Oklahoma, far extreme portions of northwest of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, places like Childress, into Wichita Falls, likely get some snow out of this deal. Not much anything is not expected into the Dallas-Fort Worth area, maybe towards the Red River, see a flake or two. But other than that, this is all going to be shifting into eastern Oklahoma, into Arkansas, as well as in Missouri during the morning hours on Monday. And there's the heavier rains that really start to intensify over Alabama and especially into Georgia and into the Carolinas. They could pick up some pretty healthy totals as far as the rain amounts and some healthier winds as well, as that those winds will be cranking for an extended period of time. Here's around about 10 o'clock in the morning on Monday morning. You can see the snow continuing to fly where that low pressure tracks, right? Especially in eastern Oklahoma by then. It's likely done on the backside, but now you're getting the swath of snow in northwestern portions of Arkansas and to southern portions of Missouri. But it's all about the rain and the instability and the higher winds as you get into the Carolinas going into that Monday morning time frame and going into the deeper into the day on Monday, heading into Monday night. You can see the swath, right? It's pretty sharp gradient just on that northwest quadrant of that low pressure center. Very intense, heavy snowfall right within that convective banding of upward rising motion air. Yeah, back into southern Illinois, southern and Indiana, back into southern and central Ohio. This will start as kind of all rain in West Virginia into New York, back into a bit of the Northeast. But as the colder air will continue to funnel in, we'll likely see that rain even changing over to snow for those areas. But here's the higher winds that we are concerned about for those areas across the East Coast here, especially into the Carolinas. Some of these could pick up some pretty significant winds as that powerful low-level jet will be over that area into that Monday night, Tuesday morning time frame. So just kind of batten down the hatches, be on high alert within that sector. You definitely could pick up some higher wind gusts of 50, 60, maybe even upwards to 70 miles an hour is not ruled out as under that low level jet. But this is gonna leave a healthy swath of rainfall. So you're getting a respite out west. There's not much happening out west. It will be coming back, trust me. So just enjoy the break, what you're getting out west with the kind of more of the dry slot. All the instability is under that powerful low level jet now, and this is more or less your Sunday to Tuesday time frame. So all this falls just in the next couple of days with that swath on the northern side. But the southern side, that's where they've got a little bit more juice to work with from the Gulf, and that's tapping into some of that moisture. We know we've got a high vertical velocity with this system, a lot of upward rising motion air. Doesn't take much to squeeze out a healthy dose of heavy rainfall. And that's exactly where it really lines up into Georgia, into South Carolina, heading into North Carolina. Yeah, some of these places, 4 to 6 inches of heavy rainfall, definitely not out of the question. But all eyes will be trending further north into the Ohio Valley, into the Northeast as we get into Monday night and Tuesday. But look what happens in its wake with that first swath that's coming out of Texas. The National Weather Service keeps upping the ante on these totals here. This is pretty significant out there in Texas. I mean, 6 to 8 inches for West Texas back into Lubbock and to Plainview, 6 to 8 inches back into Silverton. Not ruled out, could pick up almost a foot of snow out of this deal. Lighter amounts as you head into Childress. But that just gives you an idea how intense this low pressure center is. And yeah, it's just going to be leaving a healthy swath of snow in its wake. So as it heads into the Northeast, we see that little bit of a dip. right? The GFS actually kind of picked up this first. It actually has slowed down the system. Now, kind of more or less all models are on board with more cold air funneling in from Canada there. And as that low pressure center will continue to intensify and amplify off the northeast coast, yeah, we're going to be starting to pick up some healthy snowfall totals up here in the northeast as well. And it's just all compliments of this low pressure center. Look where it sets up, folks. That's pretty nice. That's a sweet spot right off the coast of Long Island there. Pretty significant down to a 974. So you know it's got some winds with it. And right around that low pressure, it's going to be spitting out some of that snow on the backside as this low pressure center will continue to move across. So what that looks like, you know, on the surface map here, as we head into the overnight Monday, heading into the wee hours of Tuesday morning, that snow is going to be transferring all from rain to snow into eastern portions of Kentucky, back into West Virginia, especially into southern and central Ohio here, and getting into Pennsylvania. You can see the rain, right? It starts as all rain along the I-95 corridor and back into, say, New York City, into northern New Jersey, those areas. But as the cold air will come in on the backside, all that should likely transfer to all snow into Pennsylvania. Pretty healthy totals for them. Into New York, even New York City gets into the action. Likely probably 1 to 3 inches of snow for them. And it's going to be a wet snow. It's going to start off as rain. It'll end as snow. It probably is right at 32 to 35 degrees. So a lot of this is not going to accumulate on the surface. But overall, I am expecting probably 1 to 3 inches for the New York City region. But as we get into, say, Providence and especially into the Boston region, you're going to be in that snow for even a longer period of time. So obviously those totals will be up in the ante for those areas. And that snow will continue to crank out for those areas into, Connecticut, into Massachusetts, back into southern portions of Vermont and New Hampshire, and southern Maine should get into the action with the snow. And going into Tuesday afternoon, it's still there. So that's why we have some higher totals within the Boston region, because you're under that snow for even a longer duration. That's what you would see those areas in New York City. I think places like in Philadelphia likely will be missing out on the snow with this setup, but it's further north that's good to be picking up some 6 to 10 inches of snow, out of this system. So here's the latest update on the short range high resolution guidance. So yeah, where the National Weather Service is calling for possibly up to a foot of snow in some isolated spots, it's exactly what the short range guidance is starting to show as well. They've already picked up several inches. So obviously this thing is just now getting going. It's going to be snowing all day long up there and heading into the overnight hours across Oklahoma. And then as we head into that, Monday timeframe into Arkansas, into portions of Missouri, and that swath of snow will impact southern portions of Illinois, Indiana, heading into central Ohio here. But once you get up into the mid-Atlantic and especially into the Northeast here, yeah, some healthy totals. This is a good 6 to 10 inch swath of snow, heavier snows. If we zoom in to some of these totals across the Northeast, again, this is the highest resolution short range guidance, gives you a breakdown. It takes out of the most bullish scenarios and it takes off the least scenarios. So it kind of just gives you a blend and an average mean of what the totals could likely be. Yeah, we're talking possibly up to 6 to 7 inches of snow into Providence. Likely probably 6 to 10 inches in and around the Boston region. Lighter amounts as you go into New York City, likely 1 to 3 inches. But once you get up into Scranton, 6 to 8 inch totals is definitely not out of the question. Getting up into New York and those areas into Massachusetts. So easily 6 to 10 inches, you could get some isolated totals of a foot of snow or more. But overall, this is an average depiction, and it kind of gives you a breakdown of what's going to unfold. But here's what's happening after that, because we still actually have more snow that's going to be on the table later on in the week. We've got the ridge of high pressure starting to build and lift back up over Alaska, and what that's going to do is going to allow more cold air to funnel in and transfer down back into the lower 48. And that's going to pick up another healthy dose of snow going into that Friday time frame into the weekend for those areas into the Northeast. So likely into Wisconsin, back into Michigan, into New York, and they're going to be picking up more snow for those areas across the Northeast. We're also going to be watching this area of convection down here in the Pacific. That's what's going to be lifting back over Texas as well, going into that Friday into the next weekend time frame. You're looking at the vorticity map, kind of shows you a big picture. So you got the first system over the top. This is what happens likely Friday into next weekend. Colder air funnels in. This is a swath of snow coming in off the northwest flow. We've got another amplified system that will be building, lifting more energy out, coming in into Texas, and more rain for those areas into the southeast. And then we have another system. Remember the break I told you about? Better enjoy it for the West Coast, because this is going to be really cranking and bring more heavy rain for those areas into the western regions into California. They could pick up some more heavy flooding rains across that region as that gets going by next weekend. So guys, I appreciate you guys following. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch my next update where I protect you before and after the storm.